Reddit filed suit against Perplexity, SERP API, Oxy Labs, and AWM Proxy, accusing them of data laundering by scraping Reddit content indirectly via Google search results as a means to evade Reddit's anti-scraping measures. Reddit seeks a permanent injunction, that's expensive, damages, and a ban on using or selling previously scraped data. Their complaint leans on anti-circumvention theories tied to bypassing technological controls on Google's and Reddit systems, and highlights a history of cease and desist correspondence with Perplexity amid a 40-fold jump in citations to Reddit content. The case lands against a commercial backdrop, of course. Reddit has inked paid licensing deals with Google and OpenAI, because, of course, raised API pricing and is trying to preserve exclusivity and monetization of its user-generated content while portraying large-scale scraping as harmful to users, infrastructure, and platform integrity. I have to say, when I first started reading about this, I was like, Reddit. It's basically like Barstool. All they do is aggregate stuff that's not theirs. But I think given the dollars that are at stake here and the financial interest that they have in what is effectively their data, I don't know if I necessarily completely disagree with them here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy because you think about like the internet is this big limitless like thing of content. And it turns out it's actually really difficult for the large language models need so much data to train on, especially something like Reddit, which has real-time user-generated data. And they're trying to get all this to understand what's happening in real time. And it's Reddit, which I think it was almost a has-been at some point, has really been revitalized. And they went public, in the past year, and their stock price has really, gone through the roof since they IPO'd. I think in large part due to the fact that they are now able to monetize their user-generated content for large language model training. I mean, it's just like Google, OpenAI, and other API users, including Perplexity.
Right.
So look, I mean, this is what they're monetizing. This is where they're finding value. This is their now golden ticket. They have to step up and protect the golden goose, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what they're doing here. I thought it was interesting that they're relying primarily on DMCA anti-circumvention theories, which I think is like it's a kind of weird, like early 2000s copyright scraping kind of theory. So I think the legal theory is actually kind of interesting of how they're going after people here. Yeah, I mean, that's like it's I think from a business model perspective that they have to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how this turns out.
It reminds me a lot of when I first became an attorney, and I didn't really understand a lot about intellectual property and how it gets valued and how you protect it. And one of the intellectual property attorneys at the firm I was working with explained it to me that Coca-Cola, at the time, this is going back almost 20 years, they valued their intellectual property on their 10K at $50 billion. It's a lot. And it's like, well, how do they protect that? It's like, well, you have these random bars on the street that have rum and Coke night. They would have people drive around and say, are you selling Coca-Cola or something else? And if you weren't a licensed retailer or a reseller, then you couldn't call it that. You'd have rum and cola night. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to Xerox is the word Xerox became ubiquitous. Nobody says, hey, go photocopy this for me. They say, go Xerox this for me. Guess what? We don't have a Xerox machine in our office. That's bad.
I will say, I mean, on the flip side, right? Play devil's advocate here. The idea of the open internet, of the idea that user generated content is not behind a paywall, is not controlled by a massive public company, whether it's Reddit or Google or Twitter, now X, whoever it is. It's I guess the question is like, is this kind of public internet of the commons where there's public access and fair use and aggregation happening across an open web? Is that still a world that we live in, or is that like a far gone like history? And you think about like the users posting stuff on Reddit. These are like, this is user generated content. It's the users' creations. It's not Reddit's creations. And so it's great that Reddit has created this, amazing community forum where people want to spend their time and contribute and talk about things that are happening in real time. and that's what's valuable for training and Perplexity and real-time AI search. But it kind of gets back to like, well, what's the internet? Is this really this um, massive kind of closed wall place that can be monetized for, shareholder value?
Right. Or if they could, I mean, to really take it further, based on what you're saying, is there a world where Reddit becomes effectively the gatekeeper for all the information online? I mean, is there a world where that happens based on what they're trying to do here? Or is that just too catastrophic of a scenario? I mean, I can go on to Google.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can compare something like Reddit, which is taking this approach, to something like Wikipedia, which explicitly has Creative Commons
Mm,
licensing on the work there. So it's user created content, right? It's kind of communally created, but then whatever is there is contributed in a kind of open licensing format. Whereas Reddit does not have that, right? It's explicitly behind
yeah.
terms of service that prohibits,
Yeah.
and there's technical measures that prohibit scraping and kind of mass scale
Mm,
taking of that content. So it's two very different,
yeah.
um, business models, two very different approaches to user generated content, and fundamentally the intellectual property rights behind it.
It's really interesting. It's cool.